Hello everybody and welcome to this microphone test featuring the new AirPods Max. Now just keep in mind this is a microphone test and not a full-on review. But in this video we're going to be comparing the microphone call quality on the AirPods Max to a few other premium ANC headphones, because for some people when they're looking into getting a pair of premium ANC headphones, microphone call quality is very important to them. Now, in this video, we're going to be testing these headphones in 3 different scenarios. First, in a quiet room like this one. Then we're going to be simulating road noise, which will be supplying us with a constant low frequency sound. And then we're going to be simulating a coffee shop, which will be supplying us with a random higher frequency sound. Now, the Apple EarPods are our baseline, and I think I sound pretty good. But unfortunately, the EarPods do absolutely nothing to block out ambient noise, because right now you can hear all of this road noise in the background. And the same thing can be said about chatter. Even though my voice does sound pretty good, you can still hear all of this chatter in the background. Now, before we get to the AirPods Max, first let's address AirPods. Now, the microphones on the AirPods and AirPods Pro sound and perform basically identical. In a quiet room like this one, my voice sounds pretty good, and you can definitely take phone calls with these earbuds. Now, when it comes to blocking out road noise, the AirPods Pro do a really good job of just isolating your voice. Now, you can still hear road noise in the background, but your voice is still the main focus. And when it comes to chatter, again, the AirPods Pro do a really good job of isolating just your voice, but you can still hear a decent amount of chatter in the background. But now, here are the AirPods Max. Now, without a doubt, in a quiet room, I can say that this microphone does sound clearer than the AirPods Pro. And when it comes to blocking out constant low-frequency sounds like road noise, the AirPods Max does do a noticeably better job of isolating just your voice than the AirPods Pro. However, when it comes to blocking out chatter or a random higher frequency sound, the AirPods Max microphone is clearly working harder to isolate just your voice. But unfortunately, your voice will either start to cut out from time to time or start randomly peaking. But overall, I do feel comfortable saying that the microphone on the AirPods Max sounds a little clearer and does a better job of isolating your voice than the AirPods Pro. However, I would try to take phone calls with these headphones in a quieter environment because chatter does seem to trip these headphones up a bit. But if, let's say, you're taking a phone call in a bus or something, then you should be perfectly fine. But now we're going to switch over to the Sony 1000X M3s. Now, unfortunately, the microphone on these headphones isn't the greatest. Specifically, I sound rather shallow. And when it comes to blocking out ambient noise, the Sony 1000X M3s aren't the greatest either. You can definitely hear a lot of chatter in the background, but more importantly, I still sound very shallow. But if we were to switch over to the new Sony 1000X M4s, this microphone doesn't sound as shallow as the microphone on the Sony 1000X M3s. However, this microphone doesn't sound super clear, but technically this microphone is an upgrade from the 1000X M3s. And the Sony 1000X M4s also do a slightly better job of blocking out ambient noise than their predecessors, but unfortunately, my voice still doesn't sound super clear. Now, if we were to switch over to the Sennheiser Momentum 3s, my voice does sound clearer than on the Sony 1000X M4s, and you can definitely take phone calls with these headphones in a quiet room. But unfortunately, the microphone on the Sennheiser Momentum 3s doesn't block out all that much ambient noise, because right now you can definitely hear a lot of chatter in the background. So, even though I do like the microphone on the Momentum 3 for phone calls, I would avoid taking phone calls with these headphones in a noisy environment. Now, if we were to switch over to the Sennheiser PXC552s, I can't help but feel that my voice sounds a little clearer than the Sennheiser Momentum 3s, which is nice. But just like with the Momentum 3s, these are a pair of headphones that I would rather try to take phone calls with in a quieter environment. Now, the microphone on the PXC552s does do an okay job of isolating your voice from ambient noise, because right now, you don't hear too much chatter in the background, but definitely when you're talking, some chatter does manage to get in. Now, you could take phone calls with these headphones in a noisy environment, but personally, I would try to avoid it. Next up are the Bose QC 35s. Now, just like with the Sennheiser PXC 552s, my voice does sound pretty good, but these are a pair of headphones that I would rather try to take phone calls with in a quieter environment. Because again, even though my voice does sound pretty good with the Bose QC 35s, unfortunately this microphone doesn't do all that much to block out ambient noise, because you can definitely hear a lot of chatter in the background. I will, however, say that the Sennheiser PXC 552s does do a better job of isolating your voice than the Bose QC 35s. But now let's move over to the Bose NC 700s, which have garnered a reputation of having a great sounding microphone. And in a quiet room, my voice sounds really good. However, what's really impressive about the microphone on the Bose NC 700s is just the amount of noise they manage to block out. Because right now we're running the coffee shop simulation and you can barely hear it in the background. Because if we were to switch over to my lapel microphone, you're going to clearly hear all of this chatter in the background. But if we were to switch back over to the Bose NC 700s, it is severely reduced. However, if the Bose NC 700s have to work really hard to isolate your voice, then your voice might start to sound a little shallow and you might even develop a slight echo. But now let's move back over to the AirPods Max. Now, like I mentioned earlier, this microphone does a really good job of blocking out ambient noise, but you can still definitely hear something in the background. And for comparison's sake, we're going to move back over to my lapel microphone. We're going to clearly hear all of this chatter. But if we were to move back over to the AirPods Max, it is reduced, but not as reduced as the Bose NC 700s. But what's really important here is that with the AirPods Max, your voice is much more front and center than with the Bose NC 700. So for that reason, I am going to have to give the AirPods Max the win here. Now, even though the Bose NC 700s do manage to block out more ambient noise than the AirPods Max, your voice is more prominent with the AirPods Max, which I do feel is more important. So with all that being said, Sony has a lot of work to do when it comes to their microphones. Both of Sennheiser's headphones and the Bose QC 35s all have good sounding microphones, but you do want to try to take phone calls with them in a quieter environment. And then there are the Bose NC 700s, which sound good and they block out a lot of ambient noise. But when compared to the AirPods Max, there is a bit of give and take here. With the Bose NC 700s, they do block out more ambient noise than the AirPods Max, but your voice might sound a little shallow and it might develop a slight echo. Whereas with the AirPods Max, even though your voice is more prominent, which is good, you are going to get a little bit more interference in the background from all of that chatter. So quite honestly, both of these headphones have good sounding microphones, but when it comes to declaring an outright winner, I really do think this one's a tough call. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit that like button and get subscribed. It helps out more than you realize. If you want to pick any of the products up mentioned in this video, those will be linked in the description down below, and you can also support the channel by checking out the merch store. But other than that, I'll catch you next time.